Hi, Representative Kallas. Welcome to the show.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. So I have to begin with a rather surprising statement from US President Donald Trump just a few hours ago. He wrote on Truth Social, I'm going to quote him, "I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form." He went on to say, Putin and Russia are in big economic trouble, and this is the time for Ukraine to act. Sounds like a real surprise, no?
Sounds like a plan. So, no, this is very, very good. I mean, we welcome those statements because this is what we have been telling all the time. So, really, I mean, I met with the Ukrainians also after they had the meeting with President Trump. They were very, very happy, and then the Arabs after the meeting with the President Trump also super content. So it's been a good day.
Do you have a sense of what caused him to change his mind? I mean, obviously he had just met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, but this isn't the first time they've met. What's your sense of what happened here?
I understand the messages were already same during this meeting, which was quite positive with the Ukrainians. I think maybe he gets the data, how Russian economy is doing, and they are actually not winning this war. And also maybe it's New York that has positive effects. And I think, well, whatever the reason is, I think it's important that these messages come, and of course we welcome those statements.
So there's a term that's become popular on the internet. It's called TACO. Trump always chickens out. In other words, he pivots. And he has pivoted a fair bit on many issues. I think on Russia and Ukraine, there's been an evolution this year as he's realized that it isn't easy to solve the war in one day. But that said, what will you do? What will Europe do? What will Ukraine do if a few weeks from now there's aggression from Russia and Trump actually doesn't do anything?
Well, we have been very clear on our own plan. What are we doing? What we are doing is to pressure Russia by sanctions. So we are just doing the 19th package of sanctions. We are also helping Ukraine militarily, financially, also politically as much as we can. So we are staying on the course. And everybody who is also joining that course is welcome. Because I think what is clear for everybody is that Ukrainians want peace more than anybody else. Today we had also events regarding the Ukrainian abducted children. And these stories are just horrible. I mean, children are just taken and I mean, tried, or they are re-educated and I mean, taken from their parents and homes and everything to Russia. We saw and heard all these stories. So what is clear is that Ukrainians want peace. It's also clear that Europeans want peace. And it is also clear that Americans want peace. The only one who doesn't want peace is Russia. So what can we do in order to put him also in the position that he would also want peace? Because it takes at least two to want peace. It only takes one to want war. And as long as one wants war, we have war. So we have the tools in our hand to pressure. Wars end when one party runs out of money to finance this war. If you think about Russia, then they withdraw from Afghanistan when they couldn't break the will of the Afghans, and they ran out of money to run this war. So the statement by President Trump that Russian economy is not doing well, but we know very well they are hitting a point in the end of this year, beginning of next year, a very difficult point. So And we have put sanctions on financing institutions. They can't raise capital outside. And also their friends are a bit reluctant of helping them. I mean, although we see China being the key enabler of Russia's war, they don't want to do it so bluntly. They are running into problems. So that is the point of really...
Russians will say they've transformed their economy into a wartime economy. They're still selling a lot of oil to China and India, obviously, although India has now been sanctioned for it. Even Europe buys some Russian crude, we know this. But there's also frozen Russian assets abroad that haven't been taken as some have proposed. Do you think the collective West is doing enough? I mean, it's been 3 years plus now.
The war is going on. We are clearly not doing enough. If the war would end, I mean, then we could say, okay, we were good, we did enough. No, right now, no.
The last few days have been even worse on that front, with Russia flying drones into several NATO members. There's Poland, there's your own country, Estonia, Romania, even Denmark. If this is a message from Moscow, what do you think the message is?
You know, it was funny. Just a day before the first drone incursion to Poland, I had a meeting with journalists, and they asked, so what do you think, is he going to, you know, go further and attack NATO? I said that, you know, he doesn't want to war with NATO, but he wants to test us, how far he can go. And really, so to do this incursion and see how we react and learn a lot from how we react. And every next time, he's bolder because he can, and he's testing us. So two things. One is to test us, our unity, our NATO commitments, our courage to act. And the other is to sow fear inside our societies so that we would refrain from supporting Ukraine. If, you know, I remember very clearly in the beginning of the war, we had in Versailles, we had the meeting of prime ministers, and remember then there was the discussion of close the skies, which means that you have to provide air defense, you have to provide planes, and in the beginning, you know, if you look back, those discussions were very difficult. And why? Because you saw around the table, you have prime ministers and everybody wants to help Ukraine, but at the same time, we all have responsibility for our own country. And of course, in hindsight, we can see, you know, in history, what was right, what was wrong, who did right and who did wrong. But at this moment, when you have to decide, and you're the prime minister, and you like, some are saying, okay, if you give them, you know, weapons or planes, then, you know, it will bring war to your territory, because that is what Russia was saying. So, and you don't know whether it's just a threat or it's actual. So you have also obligation in front of your people, and then you always choose your own people. So my point being that he wants to sow fear in our societies that, look, this is coming to your territory. We should just give them what they want regarding Ukraine. Sorry about that. And then it will be all settled. But then look back, Minsk agreement, they got what they want. And, you know, the appetite just grows.
That's never enough. There's another element to everything you're just saying about the people. So over the last few months, I think there's been a fair bit of celebration in Europe over the fact that at the NATO summit in The Hague, countries agreed to increase their defense spending to 3.5% of GDP with an additional 1.5% on defense infrastructure, adding up to 5%, which of course happens to be the number that President Trump wanted European countries to spend, and Canada. Now, there is a theory that over the last 80 years after World War II, Europe built a welfare state basically by outsourcing its energy to Russia, its export-driven growth to China, and its security to the United States. We know that the energy can't come from Russia anymore. The other two legs are quite shaky as well. The reason why I bring all of this up is in the coming years, and already, you are seeing the rise of the right across Europe. I can think of Spain, the UK, Germany, Italy.
Czechia.
Yeah, Czechia, a whole bunch of countries. And there's a direct correlation here between cutting social spending, cutting the welfare state, and the rise of the right. How are you going to manage that?
How are you going to manage?